So where we start, the first thing is you got to look at it. You know, so visually it tells a lot. And so when you look at it, first you're looking to see if it falls together. You know, does the whole thing fit? Does it look right? Does the proportions right? And after a while, you start to see a consistency. A lot of these cabinet makers were consistent, and I think that is the most important one word, consistency, because it has to be consistent throughout the entire piece. And we'll mention that word as we go along, and you'll start to see what we mean by that consistency. So, you know, when you look at this, and we're doing this one specifically first, you see that it has a consistent color. You're going to see variations. This piece was made in New Hampshire, coastal New Hampshire, probably around 1750, as late as maybe 1780, 90 even. Out in the country, the cabinet makers, the joiners, did not change all that quickly. And so the styles change for a long, very slow time period. So as you look at it, and the brasses all match, and there's no extra holes, and you know, it's sort of, and this is maple, so that's probably one of the first things we look at, the form, the condition, and then what's the wood. Then you start to see, and the wood changes. Like for instance, in North Shore, Massachusetts, it is very common to use walnut. That's red walnut, not black walnut. Black walnut was used only in the Victorian time. Red walnut was used in the front, and maple was used on the sides. And that's because the walnut was expensive. So if people were not going to see the side so much, and they could stain the maple to look like walnut, they saved a lot of money. So, but in most cases, in Connecticut or Rhode Island, usually the primary wood, that's the wood that you see, will be the primary wood, and that would be the whole piece. So, and there's all kinds of rules and that you learn along the way. So, what we normally do is we start at the top. And then we start to see, okay, what is the first draw about? You know, how is the dovetails made? What do the dovetails look like? What does the secondary wood look like? What does the saw marks look like? And you start to, you sort of embody, you feel the embodiment of what the cabinet maker was doing. They were using sort of very rough saw. That's not unusual for the country of New Hampshire. They didn't have to refine things quite so much as the city folks did. And so this is not unusual to see rough sawing. And you look, okay, what do the nails look like? Are they nails? Sometimes they're not nailed. Sometimes they're little T-head nails. Sometimes they're big rose-head nails. Okay, so Kevin will hold this one, and I'll get the next drawer out. So if you see how similar the saw marks are to the first drawer, and consistent. Okay, so then you look at the color on the inside. The choice of wood is white pine. So is the first one. So now we have a consistency of two drawers going on here. It's not unusual for a cabinet to change woods. That is not bad. If maybe he had an abundance of white pine, an abundance of tulip poplar, maybe he mixed them. So that maybe then you have to go to the next step, matching the dovetails. And we will generally stand up the drawers, you know, and in the same position. Okay. And then you start to match the dovetails. Do they match? Or is there a variation? Here again, I don't want to overuse that word, but I'm going to probably during our talk, are they consistent? Are the dovetails in the back similar? Are the dovetails in the front similar? Okay, so big rose head nails. We saw the big rose head nails in the back. So we're starting to see a certain pattern. And then we're comparing the brasses. Most unusual brasses on this piece. Open work brasses, they're great. That's one of the best parts of this entire highway. These brasses are fabulous. These are 12s on a scale of 10. And they're just great. And these were made in England, imported here. We didn't have foundries yet, really. There are some brasses made here in this country, but very infrequently on a very small basis. But these were definitely refined, imported through catalogs. The cabinet makers could order through the general store. And I want a certain number of brasses, and you would have some in storage for when you needed them. So we're starting to see a pattern. Okay, right? Okay, so the brasses, as I was talking, you see how there's like the posts of the brasses come through, and there's holes where it's dug in. And you can see that on Kevin's draw. And that is a very interesting economic and it's a reason for it. Because you see,
we have the same problem.
okay, where's that word? So think of this, England was in production for 5,000 years. We were only in production, for 50 years. We had lots of wood, they had no wood. And so their draw fronts of their furniture could be very thin, and was very thin. So the posts holding the brasses only had to be this long, because their fronts were too very thin. But the colonists, the joiners, the cabinet makers, had such an abundance of wood that they had to dig out so that they could put the nuts onto the back of the post, and these posts are only this big. It worked in England, but it didn't work here. So they had to adapt and figure out how to put the posts, so they dug holes. Okay, so we start to see the same way the holes are dug to the posts. The same tool marks, and the posts are all the same size.